Hey guys, how's it going? So we're going to do a new type of video today. I've been getting a ton of people asking me, hey, I'm new, I want to get started, I have a small budget, what would you do? And I have some people who've been playing for a little bit, thinking that maybe they've gone in a different direction with their stable than they should have, and kind of want to relaunch. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a $500 American budget and start fresh. This is going to be a completely new stable. I'm not using any connections, resources, not calling in any favors, not asking for any breeding deals with people that I've already built relationships with and done partnerships with in the past. And yeah, so if you're new to Zed, you haven't seen this before. If you're not new, you should have seen this before. This is the Bloodline Tree, and essentially what it does is it breaks down when you breed two horses of different types together. What happens? So from left to right is the rarity. Nakamoto's and Zabos are the absolute most rarest, then Finnies and Buterins. And essentially, if you take a rarer horse and breed it with a lower tier and rarity horse, the foal will adopt that's a baby horse, the foal will adopt the bloodline title of the lowest level of rarity. Starting off, that doesn't mean a whole lot to you, but essentially, the higher up this chart you can get, the more the horse is, the higher probability that it's going to be a potentially good racer. This one's going to be a little bit more important. So these are the different breed types. So Genesis are the seed horses, those starting horses in the game. They are the one of ones in ZedRun. They cannot be reproduced. There will only be the limited number that there will be. And yeah, so that's it. When you breed two Genesis together, they make a legendary. If you're new, you didn't know this. If you aren't new, I really hope you know this. And interestingly enough, when you breed a legendary with anything, it downgrades. There's no preserving the level of breed type. Preserving level of breed type starts at the exclusive level, and what that means is if you have an exclusive female and you breed it with a Genesis male, you can hold the offspring to an exclusive. So it could be a male or a female once it's born, but it will at least be an exclusive. If you breed a legendary and a legendary together, you get an exclusive foal. So there's two ways to produce exclusives. So far in the game, the exclusives that are born from Genesis and Legendaries are better racers. But we don't know what's the benefit of going Legendary a whole lot. A lot of people are guessing. We each have our own strategies. And that's kind of why I wanted to go through this process with everybody starting fresh. So Legendaries are nice. But what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be producing a horse at this exclusive level, and we're going to be buying a filly. So the only difference between filly and a mare, for those who don't know, is filly is a virgin horse. It has not had an offspring yet. Once it has its first offspring, it's then converted to a mare. So we're going to buy a female horse, and we are going to be focusing on the exclusive level. The reason why we're focusing on the exclusive level is it is my belief that when you have a legendary horse, legendaries are kind of like the beginning of a bloodline. I will go into that more in a different video, but there's only two parents, right? Now when you have an exclusive and you breed in that third parent, you can get some really interesting things going on with traits passing down. I am in the camp that there is a genetic algorithm. Once again, conversation for another day. But if you are a anti-GA person, you probably want to stop the video now. Sorry. But we'll go into more of this here quickly. So Haku is a very good tool. It will be in the description below for analyzing markets and kind of looking up different horse data. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the Buterin and at the Finny bloodlines for exclusives. I've already done a lot of this research, so this is just kind of walking you through what I did and how I looked at it. So for settings, you go to filters, filly, exclusive, Buterin, and we want an unraced, unbred horse. So that's why I selected filly. To find horses that have been not raced, we're going 0, number race is 0, 0. and then save. And then this is going to populate all of the horses. We want to make sure we have price low to high and listings. Now, Buterins essentially are, floor horses. Doesn't mean they're bad horses. I have plenty of decent racers that are Buterins. Some of the top record holders in the game are Buterins. But because there is more of them, they are cheaper most of the time. Now, one thing that we didn't go over is the Z number. So according to Zed, the Z number is how close the offspring is to the original parents. So when you breed two horses together, you pretty much combine their two Z numbers. Nakamoto's have a Z number 1 and 2, Zabo's 3 and 4, Finneys 5, 6, and 7, and then Buterins are 8, 9, and 10. So if you take two Buterin horses together, you say they're both Z10s, Genesis, you breed them together, you get a Z20 Legendary. You breed another Genesis in to make an exclusive, that's going to give you the Z30. So when you see automatically an exclusive horse, it's at least 3 generation, or it's the 3rd generation, which means it's been bred 3 times. So you would expect, if it's a purebred Buterin, to be in that 28 to 30-ish range. So like Z37, that's probably like a 4th or 5th generation horse. That doesn't really matter right now. But what we're looking for is exclusive horse, lowest Z number possible, and a good price. Now, one thing that I've learned in the NFT space is a lot of people who are just getting started, or a lot of people who don't like to do research, just come in at the floor. They want to know what's the absolute cheapest I can get in. And if you're willing to spend just a little bit more than the floor price, you can normally get a lot more bang for your buck. So like right here is a Z24. That is not going to be a purebred Buterin, most likely. And that's actually one of the things that we're going to be looking for when we go into these horses. But as you can see, there's about, let's see here, 0.06 right now. So 0.06 times 3,400. So you're talking about $204 there, which isn't a really bad price. We're not going to really pay too much attention to the rare coats, just because right now rares don't mean a lot. Reds and blues, they do sell a little bit better. Chartreuses and Star Aquamarines are pretty popular as well. But as you can see, there's a lot of options here for $200, $300, $300. Like I said, I've already done my research though, and we're actually going to jump over to the Finneys. And so Finneys, they're starting at 0.07, so a little bit more than the Buterins. And if we scroll through here, I'm actually looking for Finney in the teens. So these two horses, this horse right here is Crimson Tide Unraced. NA 0 means has no flames data, no odds data, and he's not been a race. And this Goldenrod one are actually two that we researched because they're both mid-teens, which is pretty good for 3 generations. And also the horse that I purchased. So these are the 2 that we looked at. I already purchased my horse last night. I'm actually re-recording this video because the last one did not work. But yeah, so let's go into the horses to do some research. So here's the first one. This is the Crimson Tide one from Acme Glue Company. What I found interesting right away was Acme Glue Company owns both parents, so if ever you want to do some sort of inbreeding, get a cousin, get a brother or sister, or if you have success and you want to, purchase back into this bloodline, it'd be really easy to. They're both legendary Finneys, which isn't ideal for what we're looking for, right? Doing 2 legendaries, you end up with 4 sets of grandparents, which I think dilutes the bloodline a little bit. I think there is ways to do that successfully, but I just don't know what that is yet. So I'm going to go with more of what I know. And so the first thing we're going to look at is the parents. I always start with mom for simplicity's sake. So the mom came from a unraced Genesis father. It's a Zabo, which is good. Zabo blood, a little bit rare, potentially higher traits. and then mom was a Finny Genesis. So if we go to, alright, so this is mom right here. So that would be granddad and grandmother. Now what I do is we're on this horse now. I look at their ancestry, and I see how many other winners has this horse produced, because that's going to give you an idea whether or not it's a pretty decent breeder, or if the genetic algorithm likes giving these offsprings potentially more probable outcomes. Alright, so only 2 offsprings. You have Murdercorn, who's been in 2 races, 0 flames, 44 odds, and this is all something we're going to go over later. And that unnamed foal, which is the one that we're looking at. So there's no pretty much data on whether or not grandma and mom, there's no data on mom here, whether she can produce good horses. We're going to go with dad. We're going to look at his ancestry. And really we're just looking at number of races to win percentage. So this horse has won, not very many. Has it won? Not raced, has not won. Alright, so once again, dad here not really showing us any potential in breeding. I don't really give that too much weight, but it's if I'm going to be starting fresh, I want to stack the deck in my favor as much as possible, and that's kind of how I'm looking at that. Alright, so now we look at this next one. This is the Z20. I don't think that's the right horse. Is that the right horse? No, this is the horse. We looked up the wrong one. Alright, so how do you find a horse in Know Your Horse that's unnamed? So you go to Haku, you click on the one you want. You double click the number here at the end of the web address, and then you double click the number here in the web address, and we paste it. Don't know how I did that. I think that, yeah, this is the one I was looking up. Alright, so now we got this fixed. We have Handsome Devil and Nicki Minaj as the parents. We'll start with mom again. I know this is a tedious process. I actually go into way more detail with this when I'm researching my own horses to purchase and breed, but this is kind of where I want to get started with everybody. So she's produced 2 horses, both of them are unraced at this time, and mom is a Finny Legendary made from 2 Finny horses. So pretty simple. If we go back, all right. Now we're going to check out Handsome Devil, who's also a legendary. And really, I didn't want to spend a ton of time doing this. I wanted to do just enough research that somebody else could duplicate it. Now, this is really interesting here. You have the parents for Handsome Devil, which is the father of the horse that we're looking at, is a Z1 Nakamoto Genesis and a Z6 Finny Genesis. So, because our horse here, our unnamed, what color are you? Goldenrod. We'll call him Goldenrod for now. Because our unnamed Goldenrod has Nakamoto blood in the family tree, just like the last one had Zabo, it does increase perceived value because it has rare blood in it. Now, if we look at Handsome Devil's ancestry, let's see if he's had any luck breeding horses yet. So this one's won 25% of its races, but it's only won 4. That's not a very big sample size. Here's an unraced one. This one didn't win a race and 1. And Mahogany Obsidian has won, looks like 1 race in 13 races. So once again, not a lot of data and not a lot of success. Which, if I'm buying one horse, I'm going to spend a little bit of time doing this research. I'm really going to be selective with what I'm buying. Now, because I believe Legendary into Genesis is more consistent at this point, we also looked up this horse, which was a Z17. So it is, same Z number as that, lower than this one. It's an Alice Blue Filly. This is actually the horse that I purchased. And part of why I purchased it, we're going to go into real quick. So you have Giselle here, who's the legendary. She actually comes from 2 Finny Genesis, so there's no crossbreed in this, which is really strange because I was planning on getting something with at least Nakamoto or Zaba blood, if not both. But I ended up going with this horse. So this is the mom's first offspring, which perceived value, you know, it's kind of like a lottery ticket, which I'm okay with. So dad, you know, he can win. He doesn't come in last, which means he's, at least he hasn't yet, in 14 races, which I think is a good sign for breeding. If we go into ancestry here, you got Dr. Perry, who's ran 117 races, won, you know, 11%. We have Run, who's only run 4 races, but he has 1, which that to me isn't a huge sign of success, but if a horse can produce horses that can win, that means you have a good base. Now you just have to breed it with things that can make it win more. So, you know, so far we got 2 horses that can win, 2 horses that can't, or haven't yet. Then you got Roman Pierce, who's a pretty decent horse. I'm surprised he doesn't have more profits, honestly. They must have been racing him all over the place. But, once again, Dad has produced another 10% winner over 100 races. This one's over 300. 10%, 13% winner at 100 races. 13% at 95 races. Another horse that's won early in its career. Another 11% winner at almost 100 races. So, to me, that means Dad here is probably pretty decent at passing down its genes. So as soon as I saw that, you know, pretty good success rate at breeding, I got fairly excited. And that's why I ended up going with the horse that I did. So this is Crystal Chandelier, the horse that we purchased. I'm pretty excited about this. I'm probably going to change the stable name here though. But yeah, it's a good looking horse. So kind of what we're going to be going over here in the next couple of weeks. I'm just thinking Chrome, so it's laggy. My volume's jacked up when I switch over to Firefox. I got to fix that. But make a long story short, what we're going to do in the next couple of weeks is we are going to be going over stable construction strategy, kind of how we're going to spend the remaining of our budget, and kind of mapping out a game plan on how we are going to build a stable from a single horse on a $500 budget. So we did save enough for the stud fee, so we are going to be able to breed it. We're going to be breeding with a Buterin though. That's not ideal because we do have a Finny. We paid extra money to have a Finny, and we're going to be downgrading to a Buterin, which once again, Buterins aren't bad. I've had plenty of winning Buterins. Records are held by Buterins. There's just more of them, so they're a little bit less of a premium when you sell them. But it's going to be interesting. Now, keynote, real quick. So, when a horse is born, it has 30 days before it can breed. This horse was born 6 days ago, so it still has 24 days before its first breeding cycle begins. And so that means we pretty much have, you know, just over 3 weeks to map out what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. I'll probably do a video on, you know, how I select the breeding partners and kind of, you know, get everybody ready for when day 24 comes about, kind of going right in and getting that mate. So, I'm pretty excited about this. It's gonna be a good time. I'm really happy where this is going. If you have any questions, of course, comment below. Give the video a like if you think it was alright, and subscribe if you want to kind of follow along and see how Crystal Chandelier builds her own little empire here.